Meet the comeback. Wrestling victory from the jaws of defeat, a comeback is the ultimate way of winning a game, a trophy, or even a shouting match. For some, a comeback is in the cards when retirement just isn't cutting it. For others, it's a chance to make the most of a career seemingly cut short by injury. Whatever the case, win or lose, comebacks are unforgettable for all those involved. Comebacks can honor you or haunt you, but they can never hide from the truth. When some athletes become champions, they'll stop at nothing to repeat the feat, no matter what the cost or how hard the comeback. One of the greatest examples of this ever seen in the world of sport is found in Formula One, where 1975 title holder Niki Lauda had his hopes of a repeat dented after this happened at the 1976 German Grand Prix.
Niki Lauda lost control of his Ferrari on a 150-mile-an-hour curve. Brett Lunger hit it a glancing blow with his Surtees, and it in turn collided with Oettls' Hesketh. The race was restarted, but for Lauda, it was a race for life.
Despite being read his last rites, he made an astonishing return to the track just 6 weeks later and won 2 more titles in 1977 and 1984. Basketball has its own illustrious comeback courtesy of Air Michael Jordan. Jordan was a 10-time NBA scoring champion and a 5-time MVP, winning 3 straight titles with the Chicago Bulls between 1991 and 1993, and another 3 between 1996 and 1998. But you can't attribute the lack of titles between those three-peats to a lull in Jordan's play. Rather, he was exhausted due to the pressures of playing for the 1992 Olympic Dream Team, along with the increasing stresses that came with being a bona fide international celebrity. And so, to honor the wishes of his father, who was murdered in 1993, he traded basketball for baseball that same year and successfully tried out for the AA Birmingham Barons. However, as an outfielder for the Chicago White Sox minor league affiliate, Jordan batted just .202 with 5 home runs and 31 RBIs. Clearly, the comeback to basketball in 1995 was a good call. Coming up, the miracle comebacks of football. Overcoming the seemingly insurmountable is a fundamental aspect of the comeback. And in football, examples of such unexpected and heroic feats are known in the history books as miracles. In the early 1950s, no football nation was better than the Golden Team, the mighty Magyars of Hungary. They were led by one of the greatest players of all time, striker Ferenc Puskás, who scored 84 goals in 85 appearances with the national side. In fact, the team was so dominant, they hadn't lost a match between 1950 and 1954, mowing down the opposition with an explosive attack rarely seen in the game before or since. So when they met West Germany in the 1954 World Cup final in Bern, Switzerland, a team they previously destroyed 8-3 in the group stages, the end result should have been a formality. but it wasn't. Coming back from an early 2-goal deficit, the West German side scored 3 straight goals, including 2 from Helmut Rahn, to defeat the mighty Magyars, ending their successful run. The team became instant legends, and the miracle of Bern was born.
This is the World Cup train of 1954, which picked up the German national team after winning the World Cup in Switzerland.
The team arrived home as heroes. Not only had they upended the greatest team on the planet, they helped renew hope in a nation still reeling from the aftermath of World War II, igniting Germany's economic and political recovery. Istanbul, May 25th, 2005, and another miracle would be witnessed. This time at Ataturk Olympic Stadium, in a Champions League final between AC Milan and Liverpool. The two teams had 2 completely different experiences the last time they were finalists in the competition. For Milan, that experience happened just 2 years prior, when they took home their 6th Champions League title, defeating fellow Italian side Juventus on penalties. For Liverpool, in their 1985 European Cup final, their opposition was the same, but the result, and the game in general, was incredibly different. Because not only did they lose to Juventus 1-0, they were subsequently banned from European competition for 6 years due to the Heysel Stadium disaster, in which 39 Juventus fans were crushed to death after a group of Liverpool fans breached a fence separating them. In Istanbul, AC Milan were heavy favourites and in the final were 3-0 up at half-time. But when the teams came out of their dressing rooms for the second half, things took a dramatic turn. Liverpool took advantage of a 6-minute Milan blackout to score 3 straight goals, before completing the epic comeback on penalties, handing the Reds its 5th European Cup. After the match, Liverpool fans rightfully went absolutely wild.
At half-time I cried because I thought we'd lost, and at full-time I cried because I knew we'd won.
Years have passed, but the memories of that unforgettable night will forever remain in the minds of the players who made the miracle happen.
It was chaos, I think. You know, half-time is 15 minutes. I think the first 4 or 5 minutes was a bit of chaos. But the players and the manager come together. He made a couple of changes. There wasn't much he could say, really. I mean, he's only just joined the club, Rafa Benitez, and his English wasn't fantastic. So he couldn't give a Churchillian speech, if you like, but he changed things tactically round in the game, brought Didi Hamann on, and that made a big difference, and I'd say the rest is history.
Still to this day, the hair's on my neck stand up. It's the best night of my life. I think it's the pinnacle of every footballer domestically. It's the best cup to win, and it's just the way we went about it and how the evening panned out. I think it's going to go down in history as probably the best Champions League final ever. And as captain of that team, there was no prouder man on the planet that night.
If there was any consolation for Milan, it's that they were able to exact some revenge against the Reds 2 years later, defeating them in the 2007 Champions League final in Athens 2-1. On February 7th, 2016, Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos stifled Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers on their way to a 24-10 victory in Super Bowl 50. It was a fitting end for Manning, the 39-year-old quarterback with the mind of a youthful warrior in battle and the body of a man battered a few too many times. That didn't take away from the euphoria of winning his 2nd Super Bowl.
It's a special moment to be there with your teammates and, you know, see Coach Kubiak get the Gatorade poured on him and, you know, have a chance to visit with, you know, coaches and players. That is a unique moment because after that, it's a little bit chaotic. Everybody's kind of going separate places, getting pulled on. And but that moment on the sidelines is always something that you'll remember.
It's a miracle Manning remembers anything, really, when you consider he's been knocked around so many times. He was forced to miss an entire season in 2011 to have spinal fusion surgery. At that point, he was with the Indianapolis Colts, the team he'd been with his entire pro career, winning a Super Bowl in 2007, but who felt forced to release him because keeping a QB at 35 years of age with a bad neck wasn't really a smart long-term option.
Never be born again.
But clearly, for the Denver Broncos, it was. And so he came back to the NFL after his one-year hiatus to set up shop at Mile High Stadium in 2012. It was with the Broncos that he broke NFL records for most career touchdown passes and all-time passing yards, and became the only quarterback ever to reach 200 wins. The sport of boxing has seen its fair share of good comebacks and bad comebacks. The good includes one Cassius Clay turned Muhammad Ali. When he downed Sonny Liston to become world heavyweight boxing champion in 1964, it seemed he was unstoppable.
Never write about me like this. Never make me 6-1. Just make me angry. Never make me no underdog. And never talk about who's gonna stop me. Well, ain't nobody gonna stop me.
But the US government found a way to stop him when he was stripped of his titles and forced out of boxing for refusing the draft for the Vietnam War. Ali returned to the ring in 1970, and 4 years later, he reclaimed his title in the Rumble in the Jungle against the champion George Foreman, a man who'd later make a miraculous comeback of his own. After losing his title to Ali, Foreman retired in 1977 at just 28 years of age. But he returned to the ring nearly a decade later, putting his reputation and health on the line as a 45-year-old in a title match against the 26-year-old Michael Moorer. However, Big George did the unthinkable, reclaiming his long-lost title by knockout. "This is to all my buddies in the nursing home," he said. But for all the good comebacks, there have been some rather nasty ones, like that of Riddick Bowe. The former two-time heavyweight boxing champion is known for his generous humanitarian donations, but also served jail time on domestic violence charges, and eventually filed for bankruptcy. Bowe left boxing in 2008 before attempting to become a Muay Thai boxer. But unlike Foreman, who won a heavyweight title at age 45, the 45-year-old Bowe bowed out in the second round of his debut fight, proving that perhaps Thai kickboxing wasn't really his thing. After the break, Olympian comebacks. For superior sports stars, leaving the game on a high is a dream come true. And at the London 2012 Olympics, American swimmer Michael Phelps did just that. With 4 golds and 2 silvers, Phelps upped his overall tally to 22 medals, 18 of which were gold. Both those numbers are world records. And so, at just 27 years of age, Phelps called it quits because he really had nothing else to prove. The boy from Baltimore was the greatest swimmer the Games had ever seen.
You know, I've been very fortunate to be able to look back at my career and say I've been able to accomplish every goal that I've ever wanted to. And you know, I think at that point in your career, I think it's just time to move on. You know, there are other things that I want to do in my life, and I'm not sure staring at a black line for 4 hours a day is one of those.
Another one of those things post-pool career was probably not a suspended jail sentence either. That happened in 2014, when the most decorated Olympian of all time pleaded guilty to driving under the influence of alcohol.
Phelps, will this never happen again?
You know, it's the last 3 months of my life has been some of the hardest times I've ever gone through, and you know, some of the biggest learning experiences that I've ever had. You know, finding a lot about myself.
That discovery also included the realization just months prior to the conviction that Phelps missed competitive swimming. And in 2014, he returned to the pool.
You know, I'm doing this because I want to come back, and I enjoy being in the pool, and I enjoy being in the sport of swimming.
But with any comeback, it involves the harsh reality of needing to get back into shape.
When he first came back, he was so out of shape. Like, it's hard to believe.
Easy.
He's really out of shape.
Sugar-coated at least.
So it took a while to get to a point where you think, okay, he could do this in public for somebody.
That moment came in the 2015 Winter Nationals, where he won the 100 and 200-meter butterfly, as well as the 200-meter individual medley, giving him 62 national titles overall. The Baltimore Bullet was clearly back on track heading to the Rio 2016 Olympics, and while training at Arizona State University, he proved he was once again in top shape.
The curtain will unveil the greatest Olympian in history. Another Olympic game.
Phelps flashed his abs and danced from behind the ASU student section's curtain of distraction, causing Oregon State's Stephen Thompson Jr. to miss both his free throws. Some would say Olympian comebacks have never drawn so much attention. If Phelps's return to the pool went swimmingly well, the same couldn't be said for Australia's Ian Thorpe. Once known as the Torpedo, there was no better swimmer at the 2000 Sydney Olympics. The Sydney native was the game's most successful athlete, winning 3 gold medals and 2 silvers in front of his hometown fans. However, leading to the 2004 Games in Athens, the pressure to succeed that was placed on his broad shoulders was immense. And although he won the 200-meter freestyle in what was then considered the race of the century, the competitive swimming environment was taking its toll. Thorpe retired in 2006, but in 2011, he made a valiant effort to qualify for the London 2012 Games. However, when he failed to hit those times worthy of Olympic qualification, he admitted, "The fairy tale has turned into a nightmare." 2012 instead became the year Thorpe released an autobiography in which he confessed to suffering from depression. He's now a leading crusader in the battle against this crippling modern-day disease.
Most of the book was cathartic, right? Writing about depression wasn't. It was hard, it was difficult, and I didn't realize that I was going to allow it to be in the book. But, you know, I also realized that there's a lot of people in sport, especially, but people in the broader community also, that are struggling with this, and some youngsters that I would like to encourage that, you know, things are going to get better, and also that you can still achieve things at, you know, incredible heights, no matter what field it's in.
The Olympics have seen other truly incredible comebacks, like that of diminutive American gymnast Kerri Strug. At the 1996 Games in Atlanta, Strug severely sprained her ankle after landing her first vault for the USA women's team. With the hopes of the team winning gold resting on her tiny 4-foot 9-inch frame, Strug carried on, hearing a further snap in her ankle as she landed her final routine. The Americans won gold, and Strug became a national hero.
Well, there was a little bit of doubt in my mind, you know, but I tried not to think about it, and I just, you know, relied on all the practicing I had done and, you know, said a small prayer and just went. You know, there wasn't too much time to really think about it.
Honorable mentions include Kerry Walsh Jennings, who came back from the birth of her 2 children to win her 3rd straight Olympic beach volleyball title. And then there's Usain Bolt. The fast and friendly Jamaican arrived at the Beijing Olympics in 2008, having only raced the 100 meters twice all season due to injury. But he left the Games the world's fastest man and triple gold medalist. First held in 1851, the America's Cup is believed to award the world's oldest international sporting trophy. But the old mug has never seen anything quite like what unfolded on the waters of San Francisco Bay in 2013. The 162nd edition featured defending champion Oracle Team USA against their challengers from the other side of the hemisphere, Emirates Team New Zealand. In this best-of-17 series, the Kiwis, representing the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, took a commanding 8-1 lead. And for those of you who struggled with maths, it meant they only needed one more win to take home the title. But the Americans had accumulated a star-studded cast of sailors that included their strategist, 2012 London gold medalist Tom Slingsby of Australia, two-time World Championship gold medalist, their skipper, Jimmy Spithill,
We've got some great people.
And the most successful sailor in Olympic history, four-time gold medalist Sir Ben Ainslie. And despite tremendous odds to come back, Team Oracle did just that. In only the third winner-take-all match in America's Cup history, the two went back and forth, often foiling within meters of each other. But in the end, Team Oracle completed their most improbable comeback, crossing the line 44 seconds ahead of their devastated competitor.
Yeah, it's really very frustrating. You know, you think back 2 weeks, you know, the opposite was true. We had and you know, the gains that they've made is just phenomenal, and you know, it's big credit to those guys. You know, they've really done an amazing job to sort their boat out, and probably a good thing for us they didn't do it earlier.
Meanwhile, for the winners, the large old mug never felt lighter. The comeback was complete.
Man, that's the ultimate. I mean, to come back, I mean, the greatest comeback in sports history. It says a lot about a team, a lot about the character, the heart, and the fight they've got inside them. Man, it was worth every single part of it.
Still to come, the greatest comeback in golf. It is known in golf circles as the Miracle of Medinah. The 2012 European Ryder Cup team had been trailing 10-6 ahead of the final day and would need to score a record 8.5 points to seal the deal. But on the final day, their captain, Jose Maria Olazabal, sent out his strongest players first, and they did just that. When Tiger Woods missed a putt on the final green, conceding the hole to Francesco Molinari, Europe secured victory, 14.5 to 13.5.
All I did was just tell the boys that I still believe that we could turn things around, that all we needed was just to be a little bit more effective on the greens and to make a few more putts, and that would change the tide for us. And I think the players believed, and you know what happened today. I think it will go down in the history books of the Ryder Cup.
Not only was the event a lesson on perseverance, it also taught Rory McIlroy the importance of understanding what time zone you're in. The Northern Ireland native overslept, having confused Eastern Time with Central Time, and was rushed to the Medinah, Illinois Country Club in an unmarked police car just 10 minutes before his tee-off time.
I was like, just get me there, just get me there. He was like, have you got motion sickness? I'm like, no, I don't care if I'm sick, just get me to that first tee.
Sports comebacks are proof that sooner or later, the stars will be aligned in your favor, and you'll finally get that monkey off your back. like the Boston Red Sox, who became the only team in Major League Baseball history to come back from 3-0 down in a best-of-7 series, in this case against the hated New York Yankees in 2004. They were even trailing 4-3 in the bottom of the 9th of Game 4 and were essentially considered dead. But they came back from the dead, becoming only the 4th North American sports franchise to do so, after the 1942 Toronto Maple Leafs and 1975 New York Islanders, and before the 2010 Philadelphia Flyers, all of the NHL. The comeback can provide the most spectacular victory and the most devastating defeat. But all involved will agree, they inspire young and old to never give up, no matter what the odds. And that is the truth.